So I'm now going to move on to our final panel this morning, and I want to give a very warm welcome to a former colleague of mine, Yasuhisa Shiozaki, who was Minister for Health and Welfare when I was Health Secretary, and we did a lot of work together on patient safety and worked closely on a number of issues to do with global health security. But I was always very conscious of the fact that Japan had bitten the bullet ahead of us on social care. They've been debating the challenges of an aging population for longer than we have, and they introduced major reforms in the year 2000. And so we're very, very grateful to have Minister Shiozaki, who was also Cabinet Secretary in Japan, very, very experienced government minister. And we also have Sir Andrew Dilnot, who has been hovering over today's proceedings like banquet feast, and whose proposals have been much debated and indeed legislated on. And we're very grateful to him. But I'm going to start with Minister Shiozaki. And I just wondered, first of all, thank you very much for joining us. We're extremely grateful. Now, you've been grappling for much longer than the UK has with the challenges of an aging population. And I wonder whether you could just start by outlining the major changes that you've made in Japan since 2000.
Thank you very much, Jeremy, first of all, to invite me to join your committee meeting through online. And I'm very happy to be here. And talking about elderly care insurance scheme in Japan, we did introduce it in 2000. And I would start by saying why we introduced that. And there are, well, major reason for the introduction of long-term care in 2000 was increased demand for nursing services due to demographic and socio-economic changes. And demography, obviously, it's people started to live longer. And second thing is women started to join labor market from 1990s. And at that time, by that time, I think many housewives who tried to work in the labor market, but was trapped in the homes for elderly care for her husband's parents. And the phrase you often used at that time was elderly care inferno, help for women trapped in the elderly care services in homes. And we decided to introduce the public insurance scheme in 2000. And secondly, what changes brought by this insurance scheme? There are three major points, I would say. First is expanded the amount, it really expanded the amount and variety of nursing care services, which should be affordable and accessible to all. And as a result, elderly and their family have a choice, suddenly have a choice whether they can supply elderly care services by family members or nursing care services coming from outside. And second point is it also mitigated the financial burden arising from out-of-pocket payments by each household. And the third is the reduction of hospitalization by that time without any due clinical needs. And that really popped up the cost of medical care by that time. And that really solved the problem of so-called social hospitalization at that time. So that's the why we introduced it and also what changes that brought about.
Thank you very much. Now, as I understand it, you have a 10% cap on how much people have to pay. So that means the government has a very big bill to pay because the government is paying the 90% cost of it. How do you raise the money for that? And is that extra tax unpopular with the Japanese people, or is it accepted by the Japanese people?
Well, you're right that co-payment is 10% usually. And the remaining costs are financed by tax and also insurance premium. And that tax and premium divided by 50-50 by tax and premium. And the tax, national government contributes 50% of it, while prefectures and municipalities, that means cities, villages, towns, their share is 25% for each. And the amount of national expenditure in 2020 is about 2.7 trillion Japanese yen, or 20 billion pounds. And among various categories of tax, we mainly allocate consumption tax, or VAT, to maintain long-term care insurance scheme. But we are also issuing deficit financing bonds to fill in the gap, as our consumption tax revenues is only less than 50% of social security cost. And regarding insurance premium, in Japan, all citizens over 40 years old must pay the premium. And the premium rate differs by each municipality, and it gradually increases. And the current monthly premium among senior population is approximately 40 to 50 pounds. And whether people have been accepted those cost burden or not, well, I would say nobody loves being taxed. And consumption tax always, we introduced it in 1989, starting from 3%. And now we have 10% consumption tax rate. We experienced 3 times hike of consumption tax. And each time we had big political battle, and some prime ministers lost their seats as prime minister. And so, but I would say that people are starting to recognize the importance of tax, for financing the social security cost. And I would say they're getting more and more recognition among taxpayers. And same is true for insurance premium. And when the long-term insurance was introduced in 2000, the monthly premium among seniors was around 20 pounds in average. Then we have about 40 to 50 pounds. Although we have started out this pricing of premium with 5 tiers in 2000, we have now 9 tiers according to the income level. And this is a fairly substantial burden for each individual, while it would be a reflection of wider usage. Currently, 5 million people are using these services, which is about 14% of the seniors. And that means that as an indispensable social infrastructure, I would say this public insurance scheme for elderly care is now being accepted as the social infrastructure, I would say.
Thank you. I mean, we too have experience of prime ministers losing elections on the social care issue. So that's a similarity with Japan. But it's interesting. So there's no big popular movement to get rid of what is actually quite a big tax now on the over 40s. It varies with income, but around £40 to £50 a month. Just a final question from me, and then I've got some other members of the committee. These reforms started in 2000, so 20 years ago. As you look back on them now, have they stood the test of time? Are you happy that older people in Japan today are looked after with dignity and respect?
Well, I would say that we can tell you three pros and two cons. First pro is that family burden decreased quite a bit. As I said, elderly care, inferno type of burden is now no longer in each household, I would say. And secondly, nursing care market suddenly was created, and better efficiency and wider variety and deep flexibility of services are there now. And third, I would say, since we change once in every 3 years, we change the fee schedule, and we can really contemplate on what the correct policy to fit into this new fee schedule every 3 years. And that would be adjustable nationwide according to the changes happening, whatever changes are happening. And there are two cons, I would say. Financial sustainability, it's always a big challenge. And second is the labor shortage of caregivers. And I would say, I wouldn't say that we will seek for other system other than the present one we have now. And I think we are going in the right direction, but we always need maintenance and according to the changes happening, and keep the price and quality and better access. And maybe with the innovation, I think we should keep on maintaining the system to improve the quality of the services we can supply through this public insurance scheme.
Thank you very much indeed. So I've got a question from Neil Hanvey.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much for your contribution, Mr. Shizaki. In terms of, you just mentioned quality, which is what I wanted to explore. How do you monitor and measure that quality, and to ensure that you have a consistent level of provision nationally? And the other point of that is, how is that provided? So who are the providers of that quality care?
Well, as I said, this insurance scheme is run by each municipalities, and they have what we call care managers who write up the care plan for each individual. And of course, we have standard of services for elderly care nationally, but they're the ones who assess the condition of each individual person who needs care, and write up the right combination of services he or she needs. And always the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare is looking into the quality of these plans and the services they are supplied nationally. And I think nationally we can check, and also for the well, to start with, I would say the municipalities and also prefectural level check would be run by the local government on prefectural level. And but all this is decided by the municipalities, including the premium they collect.
Thank you. James Davis.
Thank you. Further to that, Minister Shiozaki, I wondered whether you felt that the setting of the cost of care nationally is a key determinant in providing quality. So, in other words, to ensure that there is always sufficient money to fund the services that you're looking for.
Well, the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare is always watching what kind of services is now increasing and decreasing. And we also check the profitability of the care service providers. And we can kind of manage the whole cost and quality by setting the correct price for each individual service to have the right budget for next 3 years. As I said, we change the cost structure, I mean, the premium, and also the service prices will be changed every 3 years. And that is the timing of the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare to decide what kind of services they should have in coming 3 years.
Thank you. And you mentioned future challenges. What makes you so certain that the demographic change that Japan is seeing, as many of us are, with increasing elderly population, even more so, allows the current policy to continue into the future, including increased tax, for instance, on those of working age?
Well, as I said, our demography is always changing towards more aging, I would say. And that really complicates the problems. Yeah, and you can easily understand. But at the same time, the change of age structure, especially for younger generations, and that really changes the whole cost structure of the people paying premium over 40 years old. But at the same time, I think we should think about the cost of services, and we would have to go always through the innovation and using the IT and robotics in order to make this services more productive. And productivity improvement is always needed in order to have the sound and healthy financial stability of the whole structure of the public insurance scheme.
Thank you. And we have two last questions from Taiwo Owatemi and then from Luke Evans. Taiwo.
Thank you, Minister Shiozaki. I guess a similarity that Japan has with the UK is the workforce shortage within its care system. How is this affecting Japan's current care system, and how does it plan to address it in the long term?
For the past 10 years or so, we have started to introduce caregivers or potential caregivers from outside of Japan. And since the supply of new workforce in Japan, Japanese workforce, is shrinking, I would say, with the fewer babies, I think we must ask for the labor from outside, and we decided to introduce foreign labor from mainly Asian countries. And we are trying to increase that, but still the number of workforces from abroad is limited, and it is our big headache how to tackle with this labor shortage. But I think we will definitely increase the foreign labor forces from abroad in this caregiver market.
Thank you.
And finally, Luke Evans.
Thank you very much, Minister Shiozaki. I was wondering, how did you build political cooperation from both sides in the parties? And what tips could we learn in the UK about building a political consensus to drive the change through?
We had a long, extensive discussion what to do with this aging problem, especially this elderly care issue. That was the time when Germany decided to introduce insurance scheme type of elderly care plan, and we really looked into that too. And I think at that time we had a coalition government among LDP, our party, the Liberal Democratic Party, this present, the biggest political party, with the coalition with the Socialist Party and another a bit progressive party with three coalition. And we had fairly extensive, long discussion to come up with this present scheme. And so that now we are not in coalition with the Socialist Party, but I think they are basically supporting this insurance scheme also. And so it's always the amount of services should be provided. That's the main interest of opposition parties. And so it's not that insolvable problem for us to discuss about this elderly care, but always cost burden and also the amount of supply of services. That's the main focus of discussion in the Parliament.
Thank you.